Hello, my name is Jay, and welcome back to my Tech Vault. And unlike most of the videos I do in this channel, this is really going to be a video, a wake-up call, and a really big discussion with a lot of basis in what we've actually been seeing from Nvidia about the RTX series and some serious problems that are arising. If you're unfamiliar, Nvidia launched their 20 series cards. These are ray tracing cards that have this ray tracing feature in them, which is kind of the main selling point of these cards. And we are about a couple months after release. I believe we're actually at maybe around 6 months after the initial release of these cards. And we only have, I believe, 1 or 2 games that actually support the ray tracing, the main feature. And obviously, if you look in the past, we've seen a lot of cards there's been a new feature, DX12, DX11. We've seen that implemented relatively quickly, and a lot of these developers aren't actually implementing this. And, you know, if you've been unfamiliar with what's been going on also for the companies, Nvidia actually lowered their estimated revenue, I believe, by like 0.6 billion. And they lowered their estimated revenue because these cards aren't selling. And if you're unfamiliar on why, you know, Nvidia is starting to freak out, or why, you know, a lot of shareholders lost, while the stock price of Nvidia went down a huge, tremendous amount, it's actually starting to kind of root in the fact of AMD being so good at making APUs, Intel trying to get into the APU market with their new discrete graphics, and there's been a lot of stuff going on that really is starting to push Nvidia, making Nvidia kind of run for its money. And so that's why they decided to, in my personal opinion, decide to release these new cards. And obviously they had to have some selling point for people to buy them. The only problem is the selling point no one's actually using. And, you know, obviously there may be someday, just like everything was integrated, like the sound card was integrated to the motherboard, there's all that stuff, maybe the Ethernet port or the Ethernet connection was integrated in the motherboard as well. So there may become a point where everything is integrated in the CPU or the motherboard. I definitely think CPU rather than motherboard, but still everything may eventually get integrated, and there may no longer be a graphics card if Nvidia can't keep providing something that can be replicated in an APU. And obviously there's always going to be some level of high-end graphics, but I'm not necessarily saying this will be soon, but you can basically see from what a lot of the stuff that's been going on recently, from AMD actually having an Nvidia 1030, equivalent performance integrated into a CPU, you can really start to see the fact that it's not too far out there that eventually at some point they will all be combined into one. And so the biggest problem consists now is if Nvidia can't produce something that gamers are interested in buying, where do we go from here? Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that no one's buying these RTX cards. I had a friend that I just put in a freaking RTX card, I think 2070 on that, and I mean, it's not like people are not buying these cards, but why pay the extra money for the ray tracing when you could get a 1080 that for maybe a third or half the price that performs the same, and you know, use 1080 Ti or something that performs about performs the same about half the price of a 2080 used, and get something like that and actually use it. There's no point, especially with all the surplus of graphics card right now, there is literally no reason for anybody to go out and buy these cards. And that's looking at it from an overall standpoint of everybody out there that's in the market to buy a graphics card. So Nvidia is really suffering now from all these these graphics cards. Obviously they came out of the crypto mining phase, and they really needed to get some profit back up there, so they jacked up the prices on their cards. Which is understandable. It's a business thing. You want to keep your shareholders happy. But the problem is all these gamers now kind of got to the point where this is outside of our reach. We don't want to buy this, and they're just holding out. And AMD is secretly working in the works. We've got rumors of Navi and stuff at some really nice prices, especially with some Ryzen stuff coming out. So AMD is cranking out a lot of stuff behind the scenes, at least from what we hear from the leaks. And they're trying to come with discrete graphics, not even APUs, discrete graphics that are supposed to be equivalent from Nvidia at a much lower price. And you know, Nvidia is really starting to feel the burn, I guess, of holding out on so long and releasing another graphics card. I think Pascal went like a whole 3 years, or I think 2 or 3 years. Actually, maybe I know my 1080 Ti was a year before they released actually a year and a half before they released the next gen. So I think it may have been 2.5 or maybe 3 years of Pascal. And so now that we're on Turing architecture, it's a matter of I think they waited a little too long on that, and that also kind of contributed to the fact that they are now kind of hemorrhaging just from all the lack of people buying these cards. And I would say the same thing is going for AMD. They just have it a little less because they don't have as many cards out on the market. I feel like Nvidia is solely a graphics card company. I mean, when you think of Nvidia, you're not thinking of these self-driving cars or all the stuff that other Nvidia is working on behind the scenes. You're rather thinking of these graphics cards. And as a company that's solely dedicated on graphics cards, they are really not getting the same level of business. AMD is definitely, I would not consider, I would consider it's a very balanced company, but mainly the focus right now, especially from what we've been seeing and the amount of products be putting out, is definitely the processors rather than the GPUs. We've only had 2 GPUs. Well, actually now we have 3. We have Radeon 7, Vega 56, and Vega 64. Then we had a whole Ryzen lineup, actually 2 Ryzen lineups in the same time that we've had Pascal, and we'll be going on to 3 at the end of this, or in the middle of this year. So it's just that big period of time, and I think there's a lot of problems for Nvidia in the future if they can't find something else to entice gamers to buy these cards. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, of course, give the video a thumbs up. Check out my channel for other cool tech-related news, videos, reviews, builds, etc. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.